Chapter 234, I Will Help You. Chapter 234, I Will Help You. Oh! Jian Wushuang couldn't help but be surprised. Back then he led many Golden Dragon ambassadors to attack the Nine Emperors sect, wounding it heavily. It had not even been a year. It was impossible that the Nine Emperors sect recovered now. Even as the Nine Emperors sect knew of the Ouyang clan's support for the Pavilion of Raindrops, they still had the guts to claim that they would destroy it within 3 days. If it was not for the Blood Feather Tower's involvement, the Nine Emperors sect would not be so daring themselves. Tang Wuji said in a low voice, "Initially, we were not bothered that the Nine Emperors sect were about to attack. As our pavilion had the backing of the Ouyang clan, there was nothing to worry about. But we did not expect that just when the Nine Emperors sect announced their plan to attack, the Ouyang clan receded their support. The Ouyang clan said that unless my Pavilion of Raindrops merges with their Dark Hall, they would not help us block the Nine Emperors sect's attack. They may say it is a merger, but they actually meant to swallow my Pavilion of Raindrops as a whole." "Is that so?" Jian Wushuang raised his eyebrows. "Then what do you plan to do now?" "We will play by ear. Regardless of what happens, I will never agree to the conditions raised by the Ouyang clan." Pavilion Master, a guest by the side, furrowed his eyebrows. "I understand." Jian Wushuang nodded his head slightly and looked at Tang Wuji with a smile. "Tang Wuji, you don't have to worry about the Ouyang clan. The might of the Nine Emperors sect cannot be underestimated. Even if the Ouyang clan were to turn up, there is still a chance that they cannot stop them." "Huh!" Jian Wushuang winced. "But don't worry. I happen to have a bit of a grudge against the Nine Emperors sect and I wish to seek revenge, so I will help you," Jian Wushuang said. "Boss, you will help me." Tang Wuji rejoiced. Back then during the easternmost hunting, Tang Wuji could attest to the strength of Jian Wushuang. In addition, his Pavilion of Raindrops' successful reconstruction was also due to his relationship with Jian Wushuang, so Tang Wuji had absolute faith in Jian Wushuang. "Rest assured that with my help, that Nine Emperors sect would definitely be unable to snatch your Pavilion of Raindrops away from you," Jian Wushuang said with a confident laughter. Just when he finished speaking, the guests at the side were immediately dissatisfied. "Thud. Oh, what an arrogant tone." A black-clothed elder smacked the table, stood up, glared at Jian Wushuang and said in a low tone, "Kid, although I don't know what your relationship with our Pavilion Master is, but what you've just made clear is as good as sending the Pavilion of Raindrops to death. With your young age, how can you understand the power of the Nine Emperors sect? Forget the others. If we only talk about the experts of the Yin Void realm, the Nine Emperors sect will have less than 5 people. In addition, their upper elder recently surpassed their level and attained the Yang Void realm. Such tyrannical strength is enough to sweep the Pavilion of Raindrops away. At this moment of life and death, what my Pavilion of Raindrops needs to do is to craft ways to secure the Ouyang clan's support again. It is only with the Ouyang clan's support that we can promise safety and peace for the Pavilion of Raindrop. Although the Ouyang clan's condition is slightly harsh, merging with their Dark Hall, in my opinion, is not necessarily a bad thing. Now you dare to advise the Pavilion Master to abandon the Ouyang clan and completely believe in you? You're just an insignificant fellow. How can you be capable enough and boldly say that the Nine Emperors sect will not conquer the Pavilion of Raindrops? What a joke, what a..." Before the black-clothed elder could finish speaking, Jian Wushuang, who sat peacefully at the side, raised his head suddenly. The moment he looked up, rumble. Slaughter origin exploded and a fearful killing intent swept out. Immediately, the entire secret chamber became dead silent. Not only was it dead silent, but the atmosphere was as chilly as winter. The black-clothed elder at this moment stopped speaking. He widened eyes and stared at Jian Wushuang in shock. It was not only him, the other guests at the Pavilion of Raindrops were also gazing at Jian Wushuang with an extremely frightened expression. Jian Wushuang had comprehended slaughter origin, the way of killing, so his killing intent was quite strong and frightening. Although the guests were all Yin Void experts, they were only in the initial Yin Void realm. With the explosion of Jian Wushuang's killing intent, they immediately felt suffocated, as if there was a sword pointing at their throats. The black-clothed elder felt a swelling in his throat. The words that have reached his mouth were swallowed back at this moment. Horror, fear, Everyone's gaze was fixed on Jian Wushuang. Just faced with the outburst of killing intent, they all felt genuine fear in their hearts. If this black-clothed young man were to really fight, then what would happen? Boss, Tang Wuji looked at Jian Wushuang in shock. Jian Wushuang still held his bowl of wine and swirled the wine gently. The explosive killing intent slowly withdrew. Someone has come, Jian Wushuang said peacefully. Huh? Jian Wushuang winced. The doors of the secret chamber suddenly opened. A man wearing a luxurious robe walked in with a big smile. Mr. Ouyang. Mr. Ouyang. Once the guests in the Pavilion of Raindrops saw this middle-aged man, they immediately greeted him humbly. Pavilion Master Tang, how is your consideration process coming along? The middle-aged man did not bother with the guests. After entering the secret chamber, he went and sat down on a chair, showing signs of familiarity. Tang Wuji smiled and looked at him. Mr. Ouyang, my word still remains. If you want my Pavilion of Raindrops to submit to your Ouyang clan, that isn't a problem at all. But if you want my Pavilion of Raindrops to merge with the Ouyang clan's Dark Hall, then that is impossible, Tang Wuji said coldly. The middle-aged man's grin immediately fell after hearing Tang Wuji's words. Tang Wuji, I take you as Pavilion Master, so I just call you Master Tang. But you don't cherish the chance. Submitting to our clan? Huh. My Ouyang clan is one of Tianzong dynasty's 7 sects. Even the most powerful sect would compete to submit to us. With our powerful status, do we even need your pavilion? To tell the truth, my clan's initial support for your pavilion was because we affirmed your pavilion's intelligence capabilities. Without our clan, you think with your own measly muscles, your Pavilion of Raindrops could be so successful within the short span of 6 months. Listen, you'd better obediently merge your pavilion with the Dark Hall. Then you will have a chance to live. If not. Tang Wuji had an uneasy expression. Jian Wushuang, who stood by the side, began to laugh. Haha, the Ouyang clan, one of the 7 sects in the Tianzong dynasty, takes advantage of others' precarious situation? The middle-aged man cast a cold glance at Jian Wushuang. Where did you come from, kid? I was speaking to Tang Wuji, how dare you interrupt? Get out of my way. As he finished speaking, the middle-aged man waved his hand, a gust of spiritual power gathering in his palms. Then he directly struck a blow to Jian Wushuang. This middle-aged man had a cultivation of the profound Yin Void realm. Under his attack, even a man like Tang Wuji, who was in the exceptional Gold Core realm, would have died. At this moment, Jian Wushuang still held his bowl of wine, but his gaze became cold. Chapter 235, He moved. Chapter 235, He moved. Third. With his right hand still lightly swirling the bowl of wine, Jian Wushuang reached out to the middle-aged man's wrist with his left hand. It was like a huge pair of pliers in action as Jian Wushuang exerted significant strength. Crack. Sounds of bones cracking traveled through the air. The middle-aged man's face turned red, like the color of a pig liver. His mouth was opened as if he wanted to say something. Jian Wushuang gave him a tight slap. Slap. Bang. The crisp sound resounded and the middle-aged man was seen flying through the air. He crashed painfully against the wall of the secret chamber. The walls trembled for a while, and the man slowly slid off the wall. Tang Wuji and the guests at the pavilion were standing at the side, shocked by the sight that just unfolded before their eyes. This middle-aged man was Ouyang Xiu. He is an expert of the Ouyang clan who had reached the profound Yin Void realm. Notably, the guests in attendance were the most powerful ones of Pavilion of Raindrops, who reached the initial Yin Void realm. They treated Ouyang Xiu with the highest respect. But what about now? With a single stroke, Ouyang Xiu had been seen sent flying through the air like a dead dog. The guests were shocked and looked at Jian Wushuang in disbelief. The black-clothed elder was even more grateful that Jian Wushuang did not pick on him earlier. If not, Ouyang Xiu was completely blown away. Jian Wushuang stood up and walked towards Ouyang Xiu stealthily, casting a cold gaze at him. When you go back, tell your clan leader that from today onwards, the Pavilion of Raindrops will no longer associate with the Ouyang clan. If your clan is unhappy, come and find me. Or maybe when the experts of the 9 Emperors sect fight 2 days later, Your clan can attack too. I do not mind clearing this mess altogether. Get lost. Jian Wushuang waved his hand. Ouyang Xiu stood up and glared at Jian Wushuang with his fists clenched. His gaze was full of spite. Good, what pavilion of raindrops? Wait, just you wait. 2 days later, I want to see your pavilion will kneel before the experts of the Nine Emperors sect and beg for mercy. Ouyang Xiu cursed as he left. Mr. Ouyang. The guests were worried, trying to retain him. Tang Wuji was the only one with furrowed eyebrows, keeping silent from beginning to the end. Just after Ouyang Xiu left, a few guests began to sigh. We're doomed. This time, it's the end for my pavilion of raindrop. Not only did we not get the help from the Ouyang clan, we even harshly offended them. How am I supposed to fight against the experts of the Nine Emperors sect 2 days later? The guests had all lost hope. Tang Wuji remained silent. But he was staring at Jian Wushuang with a bright gaze. Tang Wuji, do you believe me? Jian Wushuang looked at Tang Wuji and asked. Yes. Tang Wuji nodded without hesitation. That's enough. Jian Wushuang smiled faintly and sat down to continue drinking without saying much. That night, a stealthy black shadow took advantage of the darkness and crept into the Nine Emperors sect. Even though the security was tight, sneaking in was no kick for Jian Wushuang's ability. Hidden within the Nine Emperors sect was the courtyard near the mountain. Jian Wushuang appeared in the void above the courtyard. Overlooking the emptiness, his facial expression remained. Indeed, father is no longer here. Jian Wushuang had predicted this, but could not help but be disappointed. The courtyard was once used to imprison his father. Jian Wushuang had brought a group of Golden Dragon ambassadors to destroy the place but was unable to save him. Since his father's location was exposed, seeing as to how the Bloodfeather Tower valued his father, they would have naturally moved him elsewhere immediately. But Jian Wushuang had no idea where they moved him to. After confirming that his father had been moved, Jian Wushuang turned and left. When he passed by the meeting hall of the Nine Emperors sect, he stopped moving and looked inside. That person. Jian Wushuang saw a weathered elder who was leaning on a dragon-headed crutch and had smiling eyes. This weathered elder was not an expert of Nine Emperors sect. But now he was treated with unwavering attention, being surrounded by many experts themselves. Even Mo Feng, the upper elder who had already achieved the initial Young Void Realm, was sitting beside the weathered elder. He looked very respectful. To be respected by the experts like this means that this is a big character. It could be one of the experts from the highest level. Jian Wushuang guessed silently. In that instant, the weathered elder who had been quietly sitting down in the meeting hall suddenly opened his smiling eyes and disappeared without a trace. The next moment, he appeared in the void that Jian Wushuang was at. But it was so quiet with not a single trace of human touch. Was it an illusion? The weathered elder murmured and returned to the meeting hall. In a void not far away, Jian Wushuang witnessed this with furrowed brows. Not bad, this old guy could detect my presence. 2 days later, also the day the Nine Emperors sect mentioned. Early this morning, when the sun first broke into the sky, a large number of experts from the Nine Emperors sect swarmed into action. 4 Yin Void experts and the upper elder, who had reached the initial Young Void Realm, were in action. Other than that, there were also a huge number of disciples of the primordial Gold Core Realm. It can be said that almost all of those in the Nine Emperors sect were out in action. My Nine Emperors sect has suffered from depletion of strength ever since Jian Wushuang's previous attack. My position in the 3 sects and 4 schools has not been stable. Various sects of the Tiannan province are now waiting to replace us after we have fallen. Too bad that their dreams will soon be shattered. Today's battle is key in proving the strength of the Nine Emperors sect. There is no room for mistakes. We must cleanly wipe out the Pavilion of Raindrops and let everyone know we cannot be challenged by just anyone. Are you clear? Mo Feng, upper elder of Nine Emperors sect, howled at the surrounding elders. Yes, they replied in unison. Mo Feng nodded slightly and looked towards the weathered elder who was standing in the crowd and leaning against his crutch. The elders of the Nine Emperors sect were all hyped and ready to fight. Only this elder remained as calm as usual. Mr. Ku, We will need you to stay back and be the backup, Mo Feng said. The weathered elder looked up at Mo Feng and said hoarsely, I will only fight against those from the Ouyang clan that may show up. As for that pavilion of raindrops, I will leave it to you all. No problem, it is only the pavilion of raindrops. They are no match for our 9 Emperors sect. Mo Feng grinned and waved. Set off. The experts of the 9 Emperors sect immediately set off. Chapter 236, Getting into Action. Chapter 236, Getting into Action. The headquarters of the Raindrop Pavilion is located in the ancient heart city of Tiannan Province. The 9 Emperors sect had already spread the word, in 3 days they would destroy the Raindrop Pavilion. Today is the day. The whole of ancient heart city, including the various sects of Tiannan Province, had their eyes on the Raindrop Pavilion. Inside the pavilion, the atmosphere was strangely dense. Many warriors had come together to receive orders from Tang Wuji, with the guests earlier as a secondary authority. And as for Jian Wushuang, his presence was only known to a few in the whole Raindrop Pavilion. This dense atmosphere was broken by a sudden gust of wind sweeping towards them from far away. They are here. Tang Wuji had a stiff expression as he stood on the roof and gazed forward, off into the distance. In the distance, a large number of black dots began appearing in quick succession. The warriors from the 9 Emperors sect mostly rode on griffins. Only 5 people were able to void walk, arriving at the headquarters of the Raindrop Pavilion in an instant. This lineup. Seeing the warriors from the 9 Emperors sect right before their eyes, everyone in the Raindrop Pavilion became distressed. Only 5 people in the 9 Emperors sect had reached Yinyang Void Realm, and they were all here. Not only that, more than half of the warriors who had reached the exceptional Gold Core realm were here as well. They brought everyone they could. Quite a few warriors from various places were hidden in the surrounding area. Seeing this scene unfold before their eyes caused them to sigh. 3 people stood on top of a tall building that was close. They were also aware of what was happening at the Raindrop Pavilion. These 3 people were from the Ouyang clan, and one of them was Ouyang Xiu, who had previously been reprimanded by Jian Wushuang. The 9 Emperors sect has gone all out. They are determined to destroy the Raindrop Pavilion, so I really want to see if they can survive past today. Ouyang Xiu had a cold expression as he stared at the warriors of the Raindrop Pavilion with hatred. Ouyang Xiu, which one injured you? An elegant man peacefully asked. That man is not amongst these warriors, he should be hiding somewhere nearby. Or maybe he has already left, Ouyang Xiu replied. You have reached the profound Yin Void realm, but that man could still injure you so easily. He must at least have reached the exceptional Yin Void realm, or maybe even be a Yin Void champion. According to your description, he is very young. Even I am curious about this young and forceful warrior, the man smiled and said. It was only because I underestimated him, giving him the chance to attack. If we were to fight one-on-one, he might not be my opponent, Ouyang Xiu whispered. Oh! The elegant man raised his brow and smiled, not saying anything else. The warriors of the 9 Emperors sect had all arrived before the headquarters of the Raindrop Pavilion. Mo Feng, the upper elder of the 9 Emperors sect, cast a glance at the numerous warriors and waved his hand. From today onwards, there will no longer be a Raindrop Pavilion in Tianzong Dynasty. Kill. There was not any trash-talking. The purpose of the 9 Emperors sect's attack this time was to claim authority once and for all. The warriors of the 9 Emperors sect were all ready. Upon Mo Feng's orders, each of them turned into hungry wolves and headed towards the warriors of Raindrop Pavilion. Fight! Tang Wuji let out a hungry cry. Although the warriors of Raindrop Pavilion were not as good as those from the 9 Emperors sect, they still fought with their lives. Once both sides met each other, the battle truly began. However, there was such a huge difference between their strength, the end result was visible right from the start. Those from the Raindrop Pavilion were not good at defending and were overwhelmed by their enemy. This scene caused those warriors from the various sects, who were hiding, to let out sighs of despair. The difference is too big. There is a clear loser, they cannot defend at all. The only reason the Raindrop Pavilion was able to stand against the 9 Emperors sect in the past was because of the Ouyang clan's support. But 2 days ago, for some unknown reason, the two had a dispute. Without the Ouyang clan, how is the Pavilion of Raindrops going to fight against the Nine Emperors sect? Indeed, the Nine Emperors sect is a top sect in the Tianzong dynasty. Although they previously suffered and had a loss in strength, a starving camel will always be bigger than a horse. They are still not someone to mess with. At least, someone at the level of the Raindrop Pavilion is not strong enough to mess with them. Upon hearing these words, the warriors pitted the Raindrop Pavilion. They could see that both parties were vastly different in strength. Unless a miracle occurred, the Raindrop Pavilion would meet its end here. But miracles do exist. When the fight broke out, Jian Wushuang, who was also watching from nearby, twitched at a thought. This Nine Emperors sect sure is vigilant. Even now, Mo Feng has yet to move, despite many warriors doing so. With a single glance, Jian Wushuang spotted the upper elder of the Nine Emperors sect, Mo Feng. Mo Feng was standing off in the distance, with no intention to intervene. He seemed to be waiting around only as a backup. Aside from Mo Feng, the old guy I saw 2 days ago at the Nine Emperors sect has not appeared either. Jian Wushuang's eyes smiled. He was not worried about Mo Feng, who had just reached the initial Yang Void realm. But the weathered elder that he previously saw at the Nine Emperor sect was undeniably strong. He deserved Jian Wushuang's respect. And that weathered elder had yet to appear, which led Jian Wushuang to suspect that he was hiding nearby. Screw it, there is no way the Raindrop Pavilion can withstand this attack. If I don't intervene now, the loss will be huge. Jian Wushuang lightly smiled and flew forward. The battle was still progressing. Those from the Raindrop Pavilion were retreating on their own. Damn it! What to do? What to do? Pavilion Master, we must immediately think of a way to retreat. Loud voices rose one after another, and Tang Wuji frowned deeply while listening to them. Then, he heard a light voice. You need to be careful. Whatever happens next, leave it to me. Boss. Tang Wuji was startled and quickly looked up. On the battlefield, he saw a Yin Void warrior from the Nine Emperors sect that was recklessly killing his opponents. Suddenly, a shadow with a black robe stealthily appeared beside him. Then, he saw a cold sharp blade emitting sword light. Shua. The sword light cut through the warrior's neck easily and a human head was sent flying into the sky. After that, the black robe shadow vanished and appeared again in front of another Yin Void warrior. Shua. The same scene reenacted itself. In only a moment, 2 Yin Void warriors from the Nine Emperors sect had been killed. Damn it! Standing on the edge of the battlefield, Missouri Feng saw the scene unfold and was furious. Chapter 237, Kill. Chapter 237, Kill. Mo Feng could no longer sit still. Power at the Yang Void realm radiated from him as he immediately rushed toward Jian Wushuang. The Nine Emperors sect was heavily weakened by Jian Wushuang half a year ago. However, after recovering for half a year, there were now 5 warriors from the Nine Emperors sect in the Yin-Yang Void realm. But, just now, 2 of them had been killed by Jian Wushuang in the blink of an eye. This would cause anyone to feel the heartache. Whoosh! Jian Wushuang moved like a ghost, quickly drifting through the area and killing those 2 warriors in succession. Then he flew towards a purple-robed middle-aged man, who was the current sect master of the Nine Emperors sect, Chu Nan. That ice-cold sword light flashed again. What? Chu Nan was shocked. Stop right now. Mo Feng, who was rushing there, shouted. But Jian Wushuang didn't stop. The ice-cold sword light, containing a humongous power, pierced forward with a burst of killing intent. Chu Nan realized his intent and tried his best to defend. But, because of the huge gap in their strength, he was only able to slow him down a little. Young man, you dare! Mo Feng raged. In the next moment, he could only watch as the sword light passed through Chu Nan's neck, cutting off his head. You're dead. A second later, Mo Feng's expression twisted and the look in his eyes became cold. While staring at Jian Wushuang, a huge hammer instantly appeared in his hand out of nowhere. At a glance, the huge hammer seemed to weigh 1,000 catties, but Mo Feng easily held it and swung it. At the very moment, he swung it, creating ripples that contained a terrifying power and spread out in waves, forcing the warriors who were fighting in the area to retreat. Rumble. The hammer roared and appeared beside Jian Wushuang. Ridiculous. Jian Wushuang sneered without glancing at Mo Feng, then he adjusted his grip and hacked out with his sword. It was a normal move, but it used his full strength. The power of this move almost reached the profound Yang Void Realm, which was definitely more powerful than Mo Feng, who had only recently reached the initial Yang Void Realm. Bang! With a thunder sound, the huge hammer trembled. Then a strong force passed through the hammer to Mo Feng. Mo Feng's eyes widened with shock and his face turned pale. He couldn't help looking at Jian Wushuang while he retreated. He saw Jian Wushuang's figure fly up and rush toward him. "You thought you could kill me?" Jian Wushuang sneered and said, "I killed Chunan, and I can kill you too." After he finished speaking, a terrifying killing intent radiated from him, filling the area. Even Mo Feng had never seen such a strong killing intent. When Jian Wushuang looked at him again, Mo Feng couldn't help feeling terrified, as if the one he faced with was not a human being but an Asura from hell. At this moment, Jian Wushuang hacked out with his longsword again. This weightless move which seemed weak and feeble, but the slaughter source contained in it was enough to freeze the entire area. As it moved toward Mo Feng, his eyes widened and the feeling of an unprecedented and deadly crisis struck him. He had no doubt that this weightless and seemingly weak move could kill him in an instant. "Help me, Mr. Ku, help me," Mo Feng called out with a sad and shrill voice. Hearing that, the weathered elder on crutches who had been hiding suddenly moved. He moved at a speed that was much faster than Jian Wushuang. Before the sword light fell on Mo Feng, the weathered elder appeared. His eyes flashed with a sharp look as he stretched out his dry and yellow palm, covered in a flowing stream of spiritual power, then turning into a sharp claw as it caught Jian Wushuang's long sword. Crack! The sharp claw caught the sword and prevented it from moving. "Arrogant!" Jian Wushuang suddenly shouted as the power contained in the sword surged. At the same time the killing intent formed into a flowing light and rushed towards the weathered elder's forehead. Hum! Surprise flashed in the weathered elder's eyes as he immediately released the sword blade in his hand, slamming down with the crutch in his other hand to defend. As the crutch smashed down, the fleeting sound of a thunder crash was heard. Bang! 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 Crashes sounded, with each collision creating a small blast wave. Several moments later, a large blast wave formed and swept out in all directions. Rumble! The whole area trembled, with both Jian Wushuang and the weathered elder being forced backwards. As they separated, the whole battlefield turned peaceful. Many warriors from the Nine Emperors sect and the Raindrop Pavilion were shocked. Even the warriors in hiding were aghast. Too fast, what happened just now was so fast. From the moment Jian Wushuang began moving, he had killed 2 warriors from the Nine Emperors sect in succession, as well as killing their sect master, Chunan, and then forced Mo Feng back. At that point, the weathered elder appeared to save Mo Feng and a fierce exchange happened between Jian Wushuang and the weathered elder. So fast, it all happened suddenly and ended just as quickly. Before the warriors in the area could even react, Jian Wushuang and the weathered elder had already moved away from each other. And 3 bodies lay on the ground. Among them, 2 were elders of the Nine Emperors sect, and the other was the sect master of the Nine Emperors sect. In such a short time, they were all killed by Jian Wushuang. How terrifying was his strength! That man is from the Raindrop Pavilion? No, he must be a helper that was hired by the Raindrop Pavilion. Haha, there is still hope. Many warriors from the Raindrop Pavilion suddenly seemed to be infused with excitement. Boss, Tang Wuji also looked at Jian Wushuang excitedly. Those guests of the Raindrop Pavilion who were becoming desperate before, suddenly became hopeful when they saw Jian Wushuang's strength, and their hope continued to increase. On the other side, the people of the Nine Emperors sect did not look happy. Up in the air, Jian Wushuang and the weathered elder stood facing each other, and Mo Feng had already moved back out of the way. Although he was a warrior in the Yang Void Realm, he understood that he was not qualified to join this fight. Old man, you stayed hidden for such a long time. Now you've finally decided to show yourself. Jian Wushuang asked and smiled. I was only hidden for a short while, but you? The weathered elder looked over at him coldly and said, We have been searching for you since the easternmost hunt ended, but you seem to have disappeared from the face of the earth for the last half-year. Today, you finally reappeared. Jian Wushuang, it was not easy to find you. Chapter 238, Ku Ya. Chapter 238, Ku Ya. As soon as the weathered elder finished speaking, especially since he mentioned Jian Wushuang, all the people in the surrounding area broke out into heated debates. What did he say? Who was he referring to? Jian Wushuang? That young warrior with the sword is Jian Wushuang. Jian Wushuang, the strongest person on the earthly dragon list. The strongest genius, beyond dispute, since the Tianzong dynasty was established. A myth. A legend. Everyone looked at Jian Wushuang, with eyes full of panic and shock, as well as blind worship. Jian Wushuang was so famous in Tianzong dynasty. Before attending the easternmost hunt, he was the strongest on the earthly dragon list and the most talented genius in the Tianzong dynasty. But after the easternmost hunt, as soon as the easternmost hunt ended, everything that happened on the battlefield spread. Naturally, news of his shocking battle results during the easternmost hunt spread. He defeated 2 large empires alone. One sword move killed 14 geniuses of the Cosmos Empire, each of which could be ranked top 5 on the earthly dragon list. Finally, Jian Wushuang led the Tianzong dynasty, a small empire, and trod over the other 11 northwestern dynasties. In the end, the top 6 ranks of the easternmost hunt were all taken by warriors from the Tianzong dynasty. The Tianzong dynasty had really performed a miracle in this easternmost hunt. And Jian Wushuang was the leading hero. They heard that Jian Wushuang had also confronted and killed many assassins from Bloodfeather Tower during the easternmost hunt, including an expert in the Yang Void realm. The news was spread, but it was not confirmed. These battle records basically made him a legend. The Millennium Chronicle, written by the Gladiator Arena, had long recorded a dozen pages about Jian Wushuang, identifying him as the most talented genius in the Tianzong dynasty's history. Now, the legendary hero many warriors worshipped was standing in front of them. He is. On a high building nearby, Ouyang Xiu of the Ouyang clan was staring at Jian Wushuang wide-eyed. He was unconvinced before and thought he was heavily hurt by Jian Wushuang 2 days ago because of his carelessness. But now, after learning about Jian Wushuang's identity, he didn't have anything to say. The gentleman standing beside Ouyang Xiu seemed a little weird now. Is he Jian Wushuang? Haha, interesting, that's why he was able to defeat Ouyang Xiu so easily. He is much stronger than half a year ago when he was in the easternmost hunt. I suspect he has reached the Yin Void realm. The gentleman was curious about Jian Wushuang's cultivation. Everyone who was watching was curious as well. At this moment the weathered elder spoke again. Your strength has improved so much in just a year's time. I fought with you in person and still couldn't easily defeat you. Your cultivation. The weathered elder's face was grim. Looking carefully, though Jian Wushuang had concealed his strength, the weathered elder was able to tell because of how close they were standing and because his own cultivation was higher. The peak of the Yin Void realm, the weathered elder suddenly stared with his eyes wide open and said in a deep voice, in half a year, you broke through from the exceptional gold core realm to the peak of the Yin Void realm. Jian Wushuang, I was contemptuous of the rumor that you were the most talented genius of the Tianzong dynasty. But now, it seems that I have underestimated you. His words, husky and low, were heard by everyone in the area. Peak. Yin Void. Can he really be at the peak of the Yin Void realm? How can that be? God, it's only been half a year. He was just in the gold core realm when he attended the easternmost hunt half a year ago. He improved from the exceptional gold core realm to the initial Yin Void realm, then the profound Yin Void realm, the exceptional Yin Void realm, and finally to the Yin Void champion in half a year. My God. Amazing. Everyone on the battlefield and in the surrounding area was shocked. Everyone stared at Jian Wushuang with shocked expressions. They couldn't help thinking that he was truly a monster. Breaking through from the exceptional gold core realm to the peak of the Yin Void realm within just half a year. No one could imagine that. Even though everyone else was shocked, Jian Wushuang was calm. It was normal for the weathered elder to recognize him since he wasn't wearing anything to hide his face. Jian Wushuang smiled slightly, looked over at the weathered elder, and said, You really are from Bloodfeather Tower. May I know your name? Ku-ya, the weathered elder said. Ku-ya? Jian Wushuang raised his eyebrows and said, I've never heard of you. Warriors in Bloodfeather Tower are as numerous as clouds in the sky. How could you know them all? Ku-ya said with a snort. That was true. As an overlord of the Tianzong dynasty, Bloodfeather Tower did have a lot of warriors. Greyrobe, who was in charge of the intelligence network in Bloodfeather Tower, might be one of the top 3 influential figures, but his cultivation was only at the initial Yang Void realm, which was quite normal. There should be others in Bloodfeather Tower who were much stronger than him. Such as this man, Ku-ya. He was much stronger than Greyrobe. It doesn't matter whether you know me or not. From today on, you will never be able to forget me, because you will die while filled with resentment towards me, Ku-ya said while staring at Jian Wushuang with a cold expression. Die. Jian Wushuang's expression was cold as he said, Greyrobe tried to assassinate me several times, but what was the result? It turned out that he died by my hand. I'm not the same as that idiot. I will not underestimate a peerless genius like you, so I'll use all my strength to kill you once I take action. Ku-ya slightly raised his palms and a surge of spiritual power gathered in them. The level of power was much greater than the initial Yang Void realm or even the profound Yang Void realm. Ku-ya, he should be an expert in the exceptional Yang Void realm. The exceptional Yang Void realm? Jian Wushuang squinted. When he first saw Ku-ya in the 9 Emperors sect 2 days ago, he knew that his strength was extraordinary. And the quick fight he just had with Ku-ya was only for show. Neither one of them used their full strength. Only now did Jian Wushuang realize what level Ku-ya's cultivation was at. While radiating a strong aura, Ku-ya tightly clenched his fists and slowly stepped forward. With each step, his aura became stronger, until it finally reached his limit. Then Ku-ya immediately made his move. Jian Wushuang, prepare to die. Chapter 239, 100 Beasts Essence Realm. Chapter 239, 100 Beasts Essence Realm. Boom. The air suddenly trembled. An invisible wave rippled outwards, but Ku-ya had disappeared from where he had been before. Where are they? Numerous warriors, including those who were hidden, all focused their gaze. They just barely noticed a ray of light slicing through the air. Shua. The space in front of Jian Wushuang suddenly erupted as a yellow shriveled palm, which changed to resemble an eagle claw, grasped at Jian Wushuang's throat. So fast. A trace of surprise flashed in Jian Wushuang's eyes. While observing the shattered space in front of him, his body retreated. At the same time, he grasped his long sword and sliced through the air with a horizontal sword light that headed directly towards Ku-ya. Although Ku-ya's initial claw attack failed, the power collected at his fingertips caused the area to tremble until it was on the verge of collapse. Then he changed forms from the claw, back to an opened palm, then thrust towards Jian Wushuang again, with a gust of terrifying spiritual power concentrated in his palm. 3 beasts killing fist, ape killing fist. Ku-ya let out a low howl as a towering shadow suddenly rose from his back. It was the shadow of a giant ape that seemed to have come here from ancient times. When the giant ape formed, a gust of ancient yet chilling air radiated out. At the same time, the giant ape ferociously pounded its own chest before morphing into a fist an instant later. This fist was as big as a mountain, and it directly exploded outwards. Rumble tilde whoosh. This monstrous fist rushed through the air and immediately shattered the ray of sword light that was flying towards it before continuing to fly towards Jian Wushuang, who was quickly retreating. Jian Wushuang's eyes squinted mildly and sparkled with light. Break. With a low growl, Slaughter Origin exploded and a shocking gust of killing intent filled the area. Then, Jian Wushuang's ferocious long sword surged with Slaughter Origin as it charged out like a falling meteor towards the giant ape fist. Peng. As the two forces met, a loud bang was heard, and a hole appeared in the giant ape's fist. The hole gradually increased until it caused the fist to shatter. A magnificent spiritual power flowed out in every direction and dispersed. You can actually fight back against this move head-on? Ku-ya stared at Jian Wushuang with a cold expression on his face, then he suddenly leapt forward. The moment when he leapt forward, the shadow of the giant ape behind him also immediately changed. What was originally an ancient giant ape had become a fierce tiger that was in the prowling position and ready to attack. This fierce tiger was also massive beyond comparison. Three beasts killing fist, tiger killing fist. Ku-ya summoned his strength and struck out with his palm once again. Roar. Along with a roar, the prowling tiger shadow behind him instantly exploded with power. Its huge body leapt and lunged directly towards Jian Wushuang. As it lunged forward, Jian Wushuang felt a heavy pressure weigh down on his heart that he did not dare to take lightly. As the long sword was thrust forward, Slaughter Origin was harnessed to its extreme. Boom! A collision occurred once again, but this time Jian Wushuang was forced to retreat in a shameful manner. Not bad. You are indeed Tianzong Dynasty's most talented genius. The first two moves of my three beasts killing fist could not stop you. But let's see how you fare against the third move, Ku-ya said in low and emotionless voice. As his voice fell, he suddenly moved, causing a gust of spiritual power to begin swirling. As he bent his body, the shadow tiger began to transform once more into a long meandering dragon. Even stationary, this dragon was already more than 30 feet in height. This enormous dragon scanned the surroundings below with its eyes, and everyone felt a chilling aura from the body of this enormous dragon. Three beasts killing fist, dragon killing fist. Ku-ya suddenly let out an explosive roar as the dragon straightened its meandering body. Its body looked like an arrow that had locked onto its target and was ready to be released. Then the enormous dragon shadow behind Ku-ya instantly shot forward. Immediately the world became grey. The massive dragon flew through the air, leaving the sound of thunder wherever it passed. It only took a moment for the dragon to appear in front of Jian Wushuang. Jian Wushuang's pupils contracted slightly as he did everything he could to resist the attack. But when Jian Wushuang truly collided with the massive dragon, the dragon exploded. Boom! Jian Wushuang's body shot backwards like a cannonball, crashing down towards the rooftop of the Raindrop Pavilion. Even though the house could be considered big, it was immediately shattered by the massive force. As for Jian Wushuang, he continued falling toward the ground, creating a gigantic hole where he landed. After falling and creating the gigantic hole, Jian Wushuang was silent for a moment. Is he dead? Ku-ya floated in the air while looking at the giant pit with slightly squinted eyes. To die under the dragon-killing fist of my three beasts-killing fist can be considered an honor, Ku-ya said proudly to himself. But just as he finished speaking, a rumble was heard. In the giant pit, rocks started to float toward the sky and morphing into rays of flowing light, which flew towards Ku-ya at a visible speed. Ku-ya's expression sank. With a wave of his hand, the floating rocks were smashed. But Jian Wushuang climbed out of the pit and reappeared once again. He quickly leapt into the sky and stopped in front of Ku-ya. You didn't die. Ku-ya looked at Jian Wushuang and asked. His expression changed slightly and said, not only did you live, you didn't even get injured. Ku-ya naturally felt a bit uneasy. Ku-ya knew that he had already used his full strength, even using the most powerful move of the three beasts killing fist. But in the end, he didn't harm Jian Wushuang at all. Jian Wushuang looked at Ku-ya with a strange expression and thought, this old guy's essence realm really is quite special. After a few confrontations, Jian Wushuang understood Ku-ya's strength. The exceptional Yang Void realm was indeed impressive, and Ku-ya's essence realm was also very unique. Jian Wushuang could tell that Ku-ya had comprehended two essences. One was Thunderbolt, but the one with greater mastery was the 100 Beasts essence. The 100 Beasts essence. If he persisted in comprehending it, there was a chance he would comprehend the origin of all beasts. There were many origins in the universe, and the origin of all beasts was one of the extremely powerful origins. What a pity. Although Ku-ya understood these two unique realms, he had not merged them. If he had, then he would have been able to kill this slaughter doppelganger of mine. Jian Wushuang shook his head secretly. That's right. Ku-ya had displayed his awesome power, and the exceptional Yang Void realm was indeed very impressive. But it was still not good enough to be praised by Jian Wushuang. Jian Wushuang stood in the air. With a flip of his hand, an explosive long sword beyond comparison flew out from his palm. As for the original long sword, he kept it in his interspatial ring. Looking at the triple kill sword in his hand, he spoke with a tone of expectancy. "Kid, this is your first fight after your awakening. Don't let me down." Chapter 240, The Unparalleled Sword. Chapter 240, The Unparalleled Sword. The triple kill sword is a killing sword and a superior third-grade magic weapon with extraordinary power. Therefore, when Jian Wushuang returned from the ancestor's land, he kept the triple kill sword in his interspatial ring. Instead, he carried an average long sword on his back. Usually, he used this average long sword. It was only when he met real experts that he used the triple kill sword. In the current battle, he killed 3 Yin Void warriors from the 9 Emperors sect in succession and even battled fiercely with Ku Ya. But he had never once used the triple kill sword. PSH, trying to play tricks now. Ku Ya noticed when the long sword in Jian Wushuang's hand changed, but he did not care. With one stride, he once again appeared in front of Jian Wushuang. "Although I couldn't kill you instantly, it doesn't matter. I only need one more shot," Ku Ya spoke in a chilling tone. His body bent forward as a massive meandering dragon reappeared. 3 beasts killing fist, dragon killing fist. With Ku Ya's explosive shout, the massive dragon, covered by a layer of thunderbolt essence, roared and slammed itself directly towards Jian Wushuang. Jian Wushuang's expression was as peaceful as water, but the triple kill sword in his hands started pulsating crazily as if it was shouting with excitement. Jian Wushuang then grabbed the triple kill sword, raised it high above him and released a horrifying surge of killing intent. This surge of killing intent, strong beyond comparison, shot into the sky. The sky, which was originally vast and clear, became dark, with stormy clouds crowding the sky. A vague figure appeared behind Jian Wushuang. It was a 50-foot tall giant. The giant stood straight and appeared like a god of war. For the countless warriors that were watching the battle, they could not help but look terrified. Everybody was looking at the giant with a horrific expression because the giant was exerting an enormous amount of pressure on them. As Jian Wushuang's triple kill sword was slowly raised over his head, the long sword in the giant's hand was raised simultaneously. Rumble tilde the whole earth seemed to be trembling as killing intent permeated the air. Blood-emptying technique, the first move, all-smashing stroke. The light in Jian Wushuang's eyes exploded and seemed to take form as it swept everything away. The triple kill sword that was raised high above his head fiercely hacked down. The magnificent giant behind him also swung his sword down. An unparalleled sword strike. Sword of killing. It was finally here. The world roared and the air seemed to solidify. All light immediately disappeared, leaving only a majestic bloody sword shadow. The bloody sword shadow was huge beyond comparison and its power was even more monstrous. It immediately slew the massive dragon which was charging towards him. Facing this unparalleled sword, the massive dragon seemed like a small insect without the power to resist. Shua. The sword light landed on the massive dragon's body and hacked the dragon into 2 halves. The power of this unparalleled sword was only slightly weakened, then it continued to charge towards Ku Ya. This, Ku Ya's pupils which had always been contracted opened wide. A trace of shock could be detected in his gaze, as if he could not believe this attack came from Jian Wushuang, a Yin Void champion. In the next moment, the unparalleled sword pierced through him mercilessly. Ku Ya's body split apart, then the sword strike frantically vibrated and tore his body to pieces, only leaving behind a blood drizzle. Exception young Void Realm expert Ku Ya, dead. Silence. Whether it was the surrounding battlefields or the hidden warriors from the different sects, all of them were silent at this moment. What just happened? An exceptional young Void Realm warrior, a top expert in the Tianzong dynasty, was directly killed by a single sword strike? Killed so swiftly? With no resistance at all? And Jian Wushuang was so young. 6 months ago, when he participated in the Easternmost hunt, he was only 19. Now, half a year later, he might be 20. A 20-year-old killed someone in the exceptional young Void Realm? How was he so powerful? Unbelievable, that was the word in everyone's mind at the moment. As for Jian Wushuang, he was still holding his long sword as usual. He floated in the air, looking at the bloody haze on the ground as he shook his head and said, "Being in the exceptional Yang Void realm, you might have been a top warrior in the Tianzong dynasty, but you were still no match for me." As far as everyone knew, in the easternmost hunt, Jian Wushuang had been in the exceptional Gold Core realm when he fought against Greyrobe, who was in the initial Yang Void realm. And he even had a bit of an upper hand. Although only half a year had passed, within the span of 6 months, he had obtained a great amount of luck from the ancestors' land. His strength was way too strong. His cultivation alone he had risen 4 levels, and he had comprehended the slaughter origin. He had made accomplishments in both the slaughter origin and world origin. The sword skill he displayed, the blood-emptying technique, was also of the superior 3rd grade. And he had the legendary triple kill sword, which was also a superior 3rd grade magic weapon. Ku Ya was only stronger than him in cultivation. In other aspects, he could not compare with Jian Wushuang at all. The 3 beasts killing fist that Ku Ya prided himself on wasn't even at the origin level. As a whole, Jian Wushuang's real strength exceeded the exceptional Yang Void realm. This allowed him to easily kill Ku Ya with his slaughter doppelganger, without ever having to fight in person. Jian Wushuang had comprehended world origin first. After a month of meditation at the Rainstorm Palace, his improvement in world origin was much greater than that in slaughter origin, so his own battle strength was definitely higher than his slaughter doppelganger. With the death of Ku Ya, no one could stop Jian Wushuang anymore. Jian Wushuang's triple kill sword was vibrating crazily as his body floated out. Mr. Ku was killed. Mo Feng, the upper elder from the 9 Emperors sect, was in a state of shock. Suddenly, he felt a wave of threat seeping into his heart and instantly sensed a chilly sword light by his side. Not good. Mo Feng panicked and desperately tried to resist, but it was to no avail. Shua. The sword light brushed past Mo Feng and his head flew off. After killing him, Jian Wushuang felt that the vibration strength of the triple kill sword increased, as if the triple kill sword had an innate desire to kill. "Little guy, don't be impatient, I'll give you one more." Jian Wushuang flashed a chilly smile. His body floated off once again and reappeared in front of the last Yin Void warrior of the 9 Emperors sect. His sword light similarly brushed past him and this Yin Void warrior was instantly killed, with no chance to even resist. As of now, the 5 Yin Yang Void realm warriors, including the Yang Void realm upper elder, Mo Feng, had all died. Chapter 241, The 9 Emperors Sect is Finish. Chapter 241, The 9 Emperors Sect is Finish. Run. Run now. The forlorn, shrill voices rang out in succession. The surviving Gold Core realm experts of the 9 Emperors Sect madly ran away like extremely frightened birds, while the experts of the Raindrop Pavilion seized the opportunity to hunt them down. Haha. Where are you going? Since you have come, stay here. You said you would make our Raindrop Pavilion disappear. Haha, I think your 9 Emperors sect should disappear now. The experts of the Raindrop Pavilion were excited and unwilling to give up the opportunity to trample them. The 9 Emperors sect was a top sect, but with their 5 Yin-Yang Void Realm experts killed by Jian Wushuang, the 9 Emperors sect lost their battle strength and could no longer stand up to the Raindrop Pavilion. The battlefield was a mess. After he killed the last Yin Void expert, Jian Wushuang stayed suspended in the air but stopped attacking. He had no interest in warriors at the exceptional Gold Core realm. After a while, the whole battlefield went still. More than half of the experts of the 9 Emperors sect had been killed. Although a small number of them were lucky enough to escape, it would not change anything because their top experts had all been killed. After this fight, the 9 Emperors sect would fall into decline. The 9 Emperors sect is finish. A green-robed elder, who hid in the dark, was sighing because of what happened. Why? A teenager beside the green-robed elder asked in surprise, because of Jian Wushuang? Just him. Just him. The green-robed elder nodded. Recently, the 9 Emperors sect had suffered a lot because of Jian Wushuang. They had just recovered, but bumped into Jian Wushuang again. This time they lost their strongest warriors. The 9 Emperors sect doesn't have a single Yin Void expert anymore. How could they rank in the 3 sects and 4 schools of Tiannan province? Even without the attack from Jian Wushuang and the Raindrop Pavilion, it wouldn't have been long before the 9 Emperors sect disappeared. After hearing this, the teenager said, with a flicker of complex emotion in his eyes, "It turns out that it's possible for someone to trample a large sect if he is powerful enough." These 3 from the Ouyang clan still stood nearby, above the tall building. Ku Ya of Bloodfeather Tower. The elegant man looked serious. Ku Ya had reached the exceptional Yang Void realm, close to the peak, and was almost strong enough to be on the Heavenly Dragon list. In our Ouyang clan, there are less than 3 people who are qualified to fight against him. Only our clan leader could defeat him. Jian Wushuang killed Ku Ya with only 1 stroke after that surge of power. The elegant man squinted and pondered over it for a while. Then he suddenly looked at Ouyang Xiu and said, "Ouyang Xiu, tell me what Jian Wushuang said when you fought with him." Ouyang Xiu had already fallen into shock. He did not recover from it until the elegant man called him. When he saw the hint of coldness in his eyes, Ouyang Xiu was scared and immediately spoke. Jian Wushuang said that from now on the Ouyang clan has nothing to do with the Raindrop Pavilion. If our Ouyang clan is not convinced, you can go find him. That's it. The elegant man looked awful. He said that if the Ouyang clan wanted to help the 9 Emperors sect in this fight, he would not mind slaughtering the Ouyang clan. Ouyang Xiu replied with a slight sense of terror. The elegant man breathed a sigh of relief. Jian Wushuang does not like our Ouyang clan, but he will not attack us, the elegant man said in a low voice. The Ouyang clan had a grudge against Jian Wushuang. In the Tianzong dynasty selection battle, Jian Wushuang had killed Ouyang Haotian and Ouyang Haoyue, the 2 geniuses of the Ouyang clan, so the Ouyang clan had harbored hatred towards Jian Wushuang. Now the elegant man was not thinking about how to fight Jian Wushuang, but he was deliberating about whether Jian Wushuang really hated and would attack the Ouyang clan. He did not dare to think about how to deal with Jian Wushuang. Jian Wushuang's strength had reached a terrifying level. He was only 20 years old, yet he already had such achievements. If given several years, he could easily slaughter the Ouyang clan. Ouyang Xiu. The elegant man stared at Ouyang Xiu with wide eyes and coldly said, "Listen, from now on, treat the people of the Raindrop Pavilion politely. Recently, it is not peaceful in the Tianzong dynasty. If you piss off a powerful opponent, you will definitely be punished by the clan." "Yes, yes." Ouyang Xiu nodded, without hesitation. The battle was over. The 9 Emperors sect was defeated. Although they suffered a great loss, the Raindrop Pavilion had gained more because they became famous throughout the whole Tianzong dynasty. In a secret chamber of the headquarters of the Raindrop Pavilion, Jian Wushuang sat by the round table with the excited Tang Wuji. The several foreign experts respectfully stood behind them while glancing at Jian Wushuang from time to time. Their eyes were full of admiration and worship. This black-robed youth killed the strongest warriors in the 9 Emperors sect by himself and even killed an expert in the exceptional Yang Void realm. He saved the Raindrop Pavilion. Now they understood why Jian Wushuang dared to say such words 2 days ago. "How many did we lose?" Jian Wushuang glanced at Tang Wuji and asked. "Not bad. I lost quite a few Gold Core realm warriors, but none of the guests in the Yin Void realm died." Tang Wuji smiled and said, "In spite of these losses, our Raindrop Pavilion became famous through this battle. Especially with you, boss, it's only a matter of time before we take the place of the 9 Emperors sect and became a top force in the Tianzong dynasty. Don't count on me." Jian Wushuang rolled his eyes towards Tang Wuji and continued, "I just helped you this time. I don't care what level your Raindrop Pavilion reaches." Tang Wuji could only shrug his shoulder. He really wanted Jian Wushuang to stay in the Raindrop Pavilion. He was even willing to give him his position as Pavilion Master. If he stayed here, the Raindrop Pavilion would become more and more powerful. Nevertheless, Jian Wushuang had no such plan. On that day, Jian Wushuang left the Raindrop Pavilion and went to the Golden Dragon Palace. Chapter 242, The Furious Bloodfeather Tower. Chapter 242, The Furious Bloodfeather Tower. In the cellar of a Golden Dragon subsidiary palace, a purple-clothed middle-aged man respectfully stood in front of Jian Wushuang. Sir, this is the most detailed information we have regarding each stronghold of Blood Feather Tower in the Qianzong dynasty. Palace Master White ordered me to give this to you. Palace Master White. Jian Wushuang glanced at it and began thumbing through it. It didn't take him long to finish reading it. Blood Feather Tower keeps a low profile. Even Golden Dragon Palace, the best at collecting information, could only find 38 strongholds. Jian Wushuang squinted. Of the 38 strongholds, 11 were large ones and the others consisted of insignificant small ones. Sir, Palace Master White asked me to remind you to be careful, the purple-clothed middle-aged man said with respect. Jian Wushuang could not help smiling and slowly moved his hands towards his interspatial ring. The sword spirit of my triple kill sword has just awakened, and its power hasn't reached the peak, so it needs to kill. I'll start with the strongholds of Blood Feather Tower. Using the remaining part of the day, Jian Wushuang traveled to one of the large strongholds of Blood Feather Tower. He spent less than 15 minutes at the first stronghold and then moved on to the next one. The strongholds Golden Dragon Palace found were spread throughout the whole Qianzong dynasty. Although some of them were far away from each other, Jian Wushuang was an expert at the peak of the Yin Void Realm. He could void walk at an amazing speed and travel through the provinces. 3 days. Jian Wushuang had destroyed 13 of the Blood Feather Tower strongholds in the last 3 days. The 5 large strongholds and 8 small ones practically disappeared. Most of the assassins in the strongholds were killed by Jian Wushuang, except the few that ran away. Jian Wushuang even had killed 7 Yin Void Realm experts in these 3 days. Just 3 days. It was a horrible massacre. It was a crazy massacre. Blood Feather Tower became furious. The lair of Blood Feather Tower lay in an unknown great canyon. In the center of the canyon stood a grand blood-red tower. The tower had 9 splendid floors. At the top of the tower, a figure who wore a blood-red robe and a wicked blood-red mask stood in front of a fence, with his hands behind his back. He looked out towards the boundless sky. 2 elders stood by the 2 sides of the figure, one with white hair and a beard, while the other had black hair and sword-like eyebrows. Jian Wushuang killed Kuya. The figure in the blood-red robe slowly opened his mouth and spoke in an evil tone. No one could tell if this person was male or female. Jian Wushuang. When I gave the Scarlet Kill command, he was just a boy who was not even in the spiritual sea realm. Our Blood Feather Tower has tried to assassinate him, but he always survived and became stronger. Now, he has even killed one of our experts in the exceptional Yang Void Realm. If he is given several years, won't he easily destroy our Blood Feather Tower? Let alone Blood Feather Tower, I'm afraid that Holy Emperor Palace will not be his match. No one could read the emotion from the figure in blood-red robe's voice. The 2 elders behind were frightened. Jian Wushuang must die. We cannot give him any more chances. This time I will personally fight, the figure in blood-red robe said. What? The 2 elders were startled. One of them instantly spoke. Tower Master, Jian Wushuang improved greatly, but he is not so strong that you need to attack him yourself. Not strong enough. The figure in the blood-red robe snorted and looked at the elder with the black hair coldly. The elder felt as if his breath stopped, then cold sweat formed on his forehead. If you look down on Jian Wushuang right now, you're really idiots. I've got news that Jian Wushuang did not have the upper hand when fighting with Kuya, because he has hidden his strength. After releasing his full power, he overwhelmed and killed Kuya with only 1 stroke. He killed an expert in the exceptional Yang Void Realm. What does that mean? If both of you fight with him, do you have the confidence to defeat him? Don't forget that Jian Wushuang has quite a few aces up his sleeve. His strength could improve at an amazing speed, the figure in the blood-red robe said. The 2 elders frowned slightly. Blood Feather Tower had been watching Jian Wushuang for long, so they naturally knew his aces. They all knew that Jian Wushuang had a method to greatly improve his strength in a short amount of time. However, Jian Wushuang had not used that ability when he killed Kuya. Tower Master, Jian Wushuang knows a lot about our Blood Feather Tower. Moreover, he is sly. He often changed his direction between destroying strongholds. He is so strong that we could not catch up with him and figure out his exact position, The elder with the sword-like brows said. Why shall we go looking for him? He will come to us on his own, the blood-red-robed figure said with a cold smile. I originally planned to start this 3 months from now, but I have to bring it out early in order to deal with Jian Wushuang. That thing. The two elders raised their brows, with a flicker of craftiness in their eyes. They certainly knew what that thing was. Jian Nantian has been in our hands. Now he's useless to our Blood Feather Tower, as well as Holy Emperor Palace. Since that's the case, let's use him to draw in Jian Wushang. Go, spread the news. As for the date, it's the 18th of next month. There's a month left. Next month, white snow will fall. It is a good time for killing. The figure in blood-red robe laughed. His body was emitting a surge of natural aura which was superior to that of the yin-yang void realm, and it was as if he was a focus point for heaven and earth. The two elders who felt his aura had a flicker of mania appear in their eyes. Then the two of them immediately left to carry out their task. Chapter 243, Bombshell. Chapter 243, Bombshell. Jian Wushuang madly started the massacre, which aroused the attention of each force in the Tianzong dynasty. The experts of these forces were shocked and expected a reaction from Blood Feather Tower. Not only were they overlords in Tianzong dynasty, Blood Feather Tower was also an assassin organization, famous for its barbarity. Faced with such crazy provocation, Blood Feather Tower would strike back without a doubt. As expected, on the 4th day after Jian Wushuang began the slaughter, Blood Feather Tower dropped a bombshell. It was a blood-red invitation sent to every force in the Tianzong dynasty. The forces with a good reputation all received this invitation at this time. The words on the invitation caused a sensation in the Tianzong dynasty. The invitation read, I'm Qi Luosheng, Tower Master of Blood Feather Tower, ranked 2nd on the Heavenly Dragon list. I have been at the peak of the Yang Void Realm for dozens of years. Half a year ago, I achieved divine transcendence. Therefore, I invite you to celebrate with me on Heartless Island on the 18th of next month. The invitation mentioned that Blood Feather Tower would put Jian Nantian to death, as a sacrifice to heaven, during the party. After receiving the invitation, all of Tianzong dynasty immediately fell into a heated discussion. Divine Transcendence. The Tower Master of Blood Feather Tower had reached divine transcendence. Since the Tianzong dynasty began, a second supreme expert of divine transcendence finally appeared. Innumerable people were shocked. It seemed like the yin-yang void realm was only one step away from divine transcendence. In fact, the level of divine transcendence was much higher than that of the yin-yang void realm. It was hard to reach it. There were many experts and geniuses stuck at this step. Di Shi, who was ranked number 1 on the Heavenly Dragon list, still remained at the peak of the Yang Void Realm. He had shocked the Tianzong dynasty with his incredible strength and ranked 1st on the Heavenly Dragon list for dozens of years, but he had not reached divine transcendence. Now, the Tower Master of Blood Feather Tower, who rarely showed up or fought with others, had quietly made a breakthrough and become the second person to reach divine transcendence in the history of the Tianzong dynasty. This news rocked the Tianzong dynasty. Quite a few experts were somewhat surprised that Jian Nantian would be executed. Jian Nantian, who is he? Which Jian Nantian? I haven't heard of him before. Why would Blood Feather Tower want to put him to death on that day? Haha, Jian Nantian was once an extremely powerful figure. No one knows why Blood Feather Tower wanted to kill him. Jian Nantian had something to do with the Ji clan, one of the 8 clans. It's said that the Ji clan was destroyed by Blood Feather Tower because of Jian Nantian. Jian Nantian is Jian Wushuang's father. Jian Wushuang's father? That's right. It's being called an execution, but I think it was a trap set by Blood Feather Tower. They want to force Jian Wushuang to show up by using Jian Nantian. How vicious. A large number of experts kept sighing while thinking about it. All the forces who had received this invitation responded by saying they would go to the Heartless Island on time. In the Dragon Palace, it's a trap. This is a trap. Palace Master White's pretty face was somewhat distorted, with a flicker of coldness in her eyes. Indeed, it's a trap. Palace Master Black nodded. Palace Master White said in a low voice, Jian Wushuang must know it's a trap. He has a deep affection for his father, so he will walk into it without hesitation even if he knows it. No one can stop him because it's related to his father's life. Damn it, this is so despicable. Despicable. It was indeed very despicable. Everyone knew that there was no justice in this world. The rule was that winner takes all. All the experts could say nothing, even though they saw through Bloodfeather Tower's trap and contemptible behavior. In a secret chamber of the Raindrop Pavilion, Tang Wuji found Jian Wushuang and gave this invitation to him. The Raindrop Pavilion had become more famous in the Qianzong dynasty, so it also received a blood-red invitation. After he carefully read this invitation, Jian Wushuang threw it aside and sat alone, without saying a word. Boss, obviously, this invitation is a trap which is used to tempt you. Don't be impulsive, Tang Wuji said in a somewhat anxious voice. I know. Jian Wushuang nodded slightly. He knew that it was a trap. However, this was something that he had to do even though he knew that he should not do it. Moreover, it was his father who would be put to death. His father gave him life, raised him, and taught him swordsmanship. In his mind, he was the most respectful father. A man should know what he can do and what he cannot. As a son, I would be unfilial if I ignored it while my father is killed. I'm upright, how can I be an unfilial man? Jian Wushuang said in a low voice. But boss, Tang Wuji wanted to say something, but Jian Wushuang directly interrupted him by waving his hand. Don't say anything. I've made up my mind. It's useless to try persuading me. Jian Wushuang glanced at Tang Wuji. Then he picked up this invitation and continued to read it. On the 18th of next month. I only have 1 month. 1 month. It's fine. Bloodfeather Tower gave some time to prepare for it. Tang Wuji. Jian Wushuang looked at Tang Wuji. Boss, I'll do anything you order, Tang Wuji replied. Your Raindrop Pavilion is good at collecting information. So it should also be fast at spreading news. I want you to help me release some news. Please let all the people in Qianzong dynasty know it as quickly as possible, okay? Jian Wushuang asked. No problem. Tang Wuji nodded seriously. Fine. Jian Wushuang's eyes flashed with a hint of fierceness. Listen, this is what you should say. Jian Wushuang meditated for a while and then spoke slowly. His cold voice resounded through this secret chamber with a hint of killing intent. On the 18th of the 12th lunar month, there will be boundless white snow. At this time, demons and monsters will abound on the evil Heartless Island. The mountains will split asunder, the rivers will run dry, and the skies will be stained with blood as swords point towards the demon horde. If the heavens favor me, it would be fortunate. However, if the heavens oppose me, there will be death. With a sword in hand, I am invincible. Chapter 244, Unprecedented and Unparalleled Arrogance. Chapter 244, Unprecedented and Unparalleled Arrogance. On the 18th of the 12th lunar month, there will be boundless white snow. At this time, demons and monsters will abound on the evil Heartless Island. The mountains will split asunder, the rivers will run dry, and the skies will be stained with blood as swords point towards the demon horde. If the heavens favor me, it would be fortunate. However, if the heavens oppose me, there will be death. With a sword in hand, I am invincible. These words spread out from the Raindrop Pavilion and throughout the entire Qianzong dynasty in less than a day. Without exception, it shocked all of the top organizations in the Qianzong dynasty. Innumerable houses were also shocked by this information. In addition, when the young warriors heard, they burned with even more enthusiasm and their emotions surged forth. Haha, he's taking up the challenge, this Jian Wushuang. But, to say with a sword in hand, he is invincible. Jian Wushuang, he's serious and quite daring. Even though he knows it's impossible, he won't give up. This Jian Wushuang, he really lives up to his name, he really is unprecedentedly unparalleled. I find myself looking more and more forward to that gathering on the 18th of the 12th lunar month. Everywhere, the whole Qianzong dynasty was buzzing with discussions about this topic. The name Jian Wushuang had once again become a hot topic in the Qianzong dynasty. It was impossible to avoid it and it was as if nothing else was talked about, to the extent that it even surpassed the divine transcendence of the Bloodfeather Tower Master, Qi Luosheng. As for the protagonist of this story, Jian Wushuang, his words began to spread from inside the Raindrop Pavilion. At this time, he had already arrived at an ordinary shop in the imperial palace of the Qianzong dynasty. Wang Yuan had once brought him to this shop. As Jian Wushuang stepped inside the shop, an attendant immediately came forward and invited him to the inner hall. Inside the inner hall, he saw a purple-robed middle-aged man, with a stocky stature. This purple-robed middle-aged man was Dan Ju. Mr. Dan Ju. Jian Wushuang had worked with Dan Ju before, so they already knew each other. Master Wushuang, the young master of my house has summoned me and asked me to remain here in case you needed something. Is there, perhaps, something I can help you with? Dan Ju said with a laugh. There is something. I would like to ask eldest brother Wang Yuan for help, Jian Wushuang said directly. As you wish, master. I'll pass your message on to our house's young master, Dan Ju said. I also need 2 infinite pure yang elixirs, Jian Wushuang said. Infinite pure yang elixirs, for breaking through to the yang void realm? Dan Ju stared for a moment, then nodded his head and said, even though infinite pure yang elixirs are of the highest quality, it's not rare in the alchemy school. If I mention the young master's name, I can get 2 of them without any difficulty. I'll pass the message to my house's young master immediately. I reckon that we'll get a response in a few days. A few days. That's good, I'll wait a few days, Jian Wushuang said and nodded. The same day, Dan Ju hastily relayed the information to the alchemy school. The alchemy school was situated deep in a mountain. On top of a giant mountain summit, Wang Yuan stood there with his hands behind his back. Dan Yi, clad in purple robes, stood behind him respectfully, waiting for his response. If the heavens favor me, it would be fortunate. However, if the heavens oppose me, there will be death. Haha, third brother certainly has spunk. Wang Yuan laughed loudly, with a gleam in his eye. Then he turned, glanced at Dan Yi, and said, in other words, on the 18th of next month, third brother will attack Heartless Island on his own? It seems so. Dan Yi nodded. Even though Bloodfeather Tower isn't important for much in the entire Nanyang continent, for him to challenge the entire Bloodfeather Tower on his own, I'm afraid it would still be fairly difficult. Wang Yuan's eyes squinted, but shortly after he commanded, go find third elder immediately. Have him give you 2 infinite pure yang elixirs and deliver them to the Qianzong dynasty. Tell them it's my order. Also, give this message to Dan Ju. Make him tell third brother that on the 18th of the 12th lunar month, I'll be going to the Qianzong dynasty to help him. All right. Dan Yi quickly responded and left immediately afterward. Wang Yuan stared off into space. It's a shame. The relationship between my alchemy school and the Holy Emperor Palace is quite delicate right now. I can't directly use the power of the alchemy school to wipe out Bloodfeather Tower. I can only depend on the alchemy guard I have trained, but second brother and fourth sister. Second brother, along with his master, Wine Master, came not long ago to ask my father for a purple fire body-shaping elixir. Both he and Wine Master headed back towards that territory. I'm afraid that they'll be unable to quickly return to the Qianzong dynasty. However, shouldn't fourth sister show up? Wang Yuan muttered to himself. 1 palace, 1 school, 3 valleys and 4 temples, 8 sects, and an untold number of dynasties. Amongst the 3 valleys was the Ice Nether Valley. Master. The maiden, Su Ru, clothed in black, arrived in front of a golden-robed man. This golden-robed man's clothes were luxurious and he had an outstanding complexion. On his face there was a smile that could make any person feel comfortable and at ease. At first glance, each and every aspect of this golden-robed man was nearly impeccable. Ru, what is it? Seeing Su Ru walk towards him, the golden-robed man had immediately came over. I would like to go back to the Qianzong dynasty. Su Ru quietly opened her mouth and said. Hey! The golden-robed man's eyebrows lifted and he asked, is it because of those men you've become sworn brothers with? Yes. Su Ru nodded. The golden-robed man looked at Su Ru and immediately sensed a stubbornness in her eyes. The corners of his mouth lifted up and he said, go. Bring my bodyguards as well. Thank you, Master, Suru said as she stood up abruptly in surprise. Don't worry, because this is the last time. Once this is done, you will come back, and you won't take a single step away from my side for the following years. You will assist me with all your might. Do you understand? The golden-robed man said without sympathy. Yes, Suru answered, then gritted her teeth and nodded. Inside the dragon palace, the two palace masters sat facing each other, one black and one white. Are you sure you want to do this? Palace Master Black looked at Palace Master White with a solemn look on his face. I'm sure. Palace Master White had a look of determination in her eyes as she said, that little fellow, Jian Wushuang, I've watched him grow ever since he entered Dragon Palace. I've always supported him in every way. He's the most exceptional genius in our Dragon Palace. For the meeting on the 18th, it's obvious that there will be traps directed at him. Our Dragon Palace must have people stand up and help him. Only in this way can we be qualified to call him our disciple. But Palace Master Black still wanted to say something. There's no need to say anything, my mind is made up, Palace Master White replied and waved her hands. However, at that exact moment, at the edge of the hall, the palace doors suddenly opened and a golden imperial-robed man quickly rushed in. Seeing this man, Palace Masters Black and White were both startled, and they both quickly stood up and saluted. Greetings, Your Majesty. Both of you get up, said Di as he waved his hand and then wantonly sat down in an open seat. I overheard everything you just said. Di lowered his voice and said. Your Majesty, Palace Master White looked at Di with great anxiety. Then Di grinned and said, I like it, go ahead. Hey! Palace Masters Black and White were both flabbergasted. They both had originally thought Di would rebuke them, but who would have thought Di would unexpectedly support their decision? Jian Wushuang is the greatest genius of my Dragon Palace after all. For several reasons, my Dragon Palace is unable to protect him, but that doesn't mean there's nothing we can do, Di said with great solemnity. Palace Master White's expression changed, then she immediately nodded her head gravely and said, Your subordinate understand. Chapter 245, Breakthrough to the Young Void Realm. Chapter 245, Breakthrough to the Young Void Realm. Having waited quietly in the store for 5 days, the infinite pure young elixirs finally landed in Jian Wushuang's hands. Sir Wushuang, the young master said that he will be present at the gathering next month and give you a helping hand, Danju said. Please convey my gratitude to him, Jian Wushuang said with a smile before leaving. In a secret chamber, Jian Wushuang sat cross-legged. In his hand were the 2 purple gold elixirs, about the size of a baby's thumb. The infinite pure young elixir contained boundless pure young energy, which helped accelerate a warrior's breakthrough from a yin void champion to the young void realm. Its efficiency was immeasurable, and if he was lucky, 1 elixir would be enough. There are as many experts in Blood Feather Tower as there are clouds in the sky. As for Qi Luosheng, the master of Blood Feather Tower, he is a supreme expert who has reached divine transcendence. There is no doubt that to fight against him is to seek death. Therefore, I have to greatly improve my strength within a month. Jian Wushuang's eyes glinted with a sharp light. There were many ways to improve his strength. However, it was impossible for him to expand his comprehension of the origin in such a short period. He could only count on improving his cultivation level, which was at the level of Yin Void Champion. 1 step further, and he would reach the Young Void Realm. Now, he had 2 infinite pure young elixirs. After taking a deep breath and calming down, Jian Wushuang swallowed both of the infinite pure young elixirs in 1 gulp. They immediately turned into a mighty pure young power and began circulating through his body. As the elixirs worked, more and more pure young power gathered. Rumble tilde. It was as if a torrent of floodwater was flowing throughout all of the meridians in his body. In an instant, Jian Wushuang felt like his bones were going to crack. Jian Wushuang closed his eyes and sweat stood out on his forehead. Pure young power, as pure as it could be, flowed through his body. The pain caused by it was almost as bad as when he had used the soul-devouring secret skill. It's begun. Jian Wushuang was stone-faced. As the efficacy of the two infinite pure yang elixirs increased to the utmost, the pure yang energy reached its limit and formed a mighty torrent that lashed out against the barrier in his body. Bang! The first wave caused a muffled sound within his body. His face turned pale, but the barrier remained intact. Then a second wave of pure yang energy followed. Bang! 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 5 impacts heavily struck the barrier in quick succession, causing it to vibrate slightly. However, it did not break. On the other hand, Jian Wushuang's face was quite pale, and blood flowed out of his mouth. After those 5 impacts, only less than 1/3 of the power of pure yang in his body was left. Taking another deep breath, Jian Wushuang clenched his fists. Then, in the next moment, he launched a final attack with all the remaining pure yang energy. The surging current lashed against the barrier once more. It will break. Jian Wushuang's face was twisted. Boom! The surging current crashed against the barrier. There was a terrible and explosive impact as the barrier shook fiercely, and then, click, a slight sound arose, causing a feeling of ecstasy within Jian Wushuang. A minute crack appeared, and this crack became like the ant nest that caused the destruction of a mighty dam. Rumble tilde the barrier finally collapsed, and then a vast spiritual power began flowing through his body. All of the meridians and bones in his body started to change, becoming thicker and more durable. Similarly, his spiritual power also began to transform. In such a short moment, he had completed the transformation. I reached the Yang Void Realm. Jian Wushuang opened his eyes in exultation. He knew how lucky he was to reach the Yang Void Realm this time. After all, he had improved so much in one go, previously, in the Ancestors' Land. Although he had reached the ultimate limit at the peak of the Yin Void Realm, he had not accumulated enough power. So, he assumed he would be stuck at that level for a long time. The odds of making a breakthrough were low, even with the help of the infinite pure yang elixirs. However, he had made it. So lucky. 30% was due to the help of the treasure, 20% from his persistence, and the remaining 50% was pure luck. Compared with Yin Void, the Yang Void Realm is much stronger. Jian Wushuang clenched his hands, feeling the explosive power running through his palms. Once he reached the Yang Void Realm, his strength grew rapidly and his spiritual power improved substantially. Now, he could match up against an exceptional Yang Void Realm warrior with only his explosive power. Maybe he was a little weaker, but not by too much. To reach the Yang Void Realm before the gathering is lucky, but it's not enough. Jian Wushuang soon came down from his great joy. He knew he could not truly fight against a supreme expert who reached divine transcendence if his cultivation only reached the Yang Void Realm. He still had to make more preparations. With this done, he could begin looking for a way to making his secret weapon even stronger. His biggest trump card was the soul-devouring secret skill. Before, in the Easternmost Hunt, he discovered that the first volume of the soul-devouring secret skill had done little to improve his strength. Therefore, he needed to comprehend the second volume as soon as possible. The soul-devouring secret skill was extremely powerful and would create a large disturbance, so he chose an isolated patch of woods in order to begin delving into the second volume of the soul-devouring secret skill. Half a month later, in the isolated woods, a terrible engulfing force swept out. It came from Jian Wushuang, who sat cross-legged on a stone. The vast natural power of all living things quickly gathered into his body. After a good while, everything quieted down. Jian Wushuang, sitting cross-legged on the stone, opened his eyes slowly with a smile. At long last, I have completely comprehended the second volume of soul-devouring secret skill in this half-month. The second volume was more powerful than the first, so it naturally placed a heavier burden on his body. Fortunately, Jian Wushuang's current power had increased by a wide margin and he could sustain this burden for a period of time. However, his body would still break down if he used it for too long. There are still a few days before the 18th of the 12th lunar month. During these last few days, I must try to improve the grade of the triple kill sword. While he was thinking about that, the triple kill sword appeared in his hands and leapt about with a whistling sound. Chapter 246, On the Heartless Island. Chapter 246, On the Heartless Island. The triple kill sword had already been a superior third-grade magic weapon since its sword spirit awakened. Since then, he had killed 5 experts of Yin-Yang Void Realm from the 9 Emperors sect, the exceptional Yang Void Realm Ku-Ya, as well as killed many in a several-day successive massacre directed towards Bloodfeather Tower stronghold. In the wake of the numerous massacres, the triple kill sword had become more ruthless. One step further and it would become a magic weapon of the 2nd grade. In the following days, he would continue the bloodbath in the strongholds of Bloodfeather Tower. One by one with each endless kill, the frantic bloodbath would strengthen the power of triple kill sword. On the eve before the 18th of the 12th month of the lunar year, the triple kill sword made a breakthrough, leveling itself up from a superior 3rd grade to an inferior 2nd grade and strengthening its power. Thereafter, Jian Wushuang had prepared all that he could, including his personal strength. For the entirety of that night, he quietly sat on a hill. The next morning, the sun had not yet risen on the horizon, but heavy snow fell from the sky. Soon, the heavy snow covered the ground in a white sheet. After sitting on the hill for a whole night, Jian Wushuang opened his eyes, filled with light. It's snowing. Jian Wushuang stretched out one hand and a snowflake fell onto his palm. Soon after, it turned into a drop of water. The snow is beautiful. Jian Wushuang looked around with a smile. The snow would be more charming if it was mixed with blood. My dear, today, let us enjoy a bloodbath. It seemed the triple kill sword understood what Jian Wushuang said, and it trembled fiercely on his back. As though it was excited. As though it was surprised. Jian Wushuang set off to Heartless Island. On the 18th of the 12th lunar month, it snowed heavily. The whole Tianzong dynasty was covered by white snow, causing the ground to become a vast and endless white sheet. Heartless Island was located 100 miles away from the imperial palace of the Tianzong dynasty. Situated in the center of a vast lake and surrounded by hills, Heartless Island was famous in Tianzong dynasty. It was said that the place where the Heartless Island was located was once a rift. Years ago, 2 super experts had a fierce fight there and left a huge ravine in the ground, which water gathered into and formed a lake. This left the central piece of land to turn into an island. Today, the atmosphere in the Heartless Island was different. Many figures stood at nearly every corner of the island, and they all wore black robes and masks. Not only that, but all of the masks were golden. Above the void, some purple-masked killers from Bloodfeather Tower welcomed the experts and also acted as guardians watching over all of them. In other words, one could say that the entirety of Heartless Island was now heavily guarded. At dawn, experts from different sects arrived on the island. 1 month ago, Bloodfeather Tower had sent its invitations. All of the sects who received the invitations did not dare refuse and all sent their experts. The 7 top clans in the Tianzong dynasty, even Dragon Palace, and the Gladiator Arena, all had their experts go forth. Soon many experts gathered on the island and there was quite a clamor. There was a big drill ground in the center of the island. Many chairs were arranged in rows on 2 sides of the drill ground. Experts from all of the sects of Tianzong dynasty were sitting on their chairs quietly. Brother Lingfeng, how was it decided that we from the Tianyuan sword sect were to sit here? At a corner of the drill ground's very edge, experts of Tianyuan sword sect were seated. Among the nearly 10 experts, there was one lady with a cold expression on her face. She was Jian Meng'er, and her current expression was strange. The Tianyuan sword sect is a big sect in Tianyang province, but it is nothing special in the Tianzong dynasty. It's an honor to be invited by Bloodfeather Tower, even if you're seated at the corner. Ling Feng explained. Is it? Jian Meng'er still frowned. Ling Feng, the sect master of Tianyuan sword sect, an elder with white hair and a babyface, turned and said to Ling Feng, "It's the highest level meeting in the Tianzong dynasty and all the experts of those strong sects have come. Later on, I'll introduce you to them to expand your knowledge." Thank you. Ling Feng nodded respectfully. In the most conspicuous area of the drill ground, 10 figures were seated. Among them, the lead one was a strong man over 2 meters high and as strong as an ox. He was the hall master of the Gladiator Arena. What I'm most looking forward to with this gathering is Jian Wushuang. When will he show up? The strong man looked around and smiled. I'm quite curious about the exceptional genius. Bai Chong, I heard you knew him? The strong man looked over at an armless middle-aged man. Jian Wushuang would recognize him as soon as he saw the middle-aged man. He was Bai Chong, who once gave him a lucky opportunity when he was in the mansion of the Sword Marquis and saved him from the killers of Bloodfeather Tower. Hearing what the strong man said, Bai Chong couldn't help but touch his left sleeve. His left arm was cut off while stopping the killers of Bloodfeather Tower for Jian Wushuang. However, he didn't give up because of this, but rather fought against it, and he unexpectedly broke through the bottleneck that had always trapped him, reaching Yin Void Realm. A little, Bai Chong replied. He, I really admire him. If he can survive this time, introduce him to me, the strong man said with a smile. Okay. Bai Chong nodded, but then he frowned. He knew that the danger Jian Wushuang was facing this time was no small matter. Bloodfeather Tower had set a trap and had extensively prepared in order to kill Jian Wushuang. On the drill ground, apart from the experts of the sects, there were also many solitary experts who had come without invitation simply for the enjoyment. Among the solitary experts, there was one gentleman with a long sword on his back. He was the master of the mansion of the Sword Marquis, Jian Xinhong. 1 month ago, he had heard that Bloodfeather Tower was inviting experts of all sects to watch the sacrifice of Jian Nantian to the heavens, and that Jian Wushuang had replied as well. Therefore, as a solitary expert, he had rushed over today. Bloodfeather Tower, they were the overlords of the Tianzong dynasty. I also heard that their tower master had reached divine transcendence. Jian Xinhong had a grave expression on his face, then he shook his head. Hey, God bless him. Chapter 247, Qi Luosheng. Chapter 247, Qi Luosheng. Except for those experts from the Heartless Island, there were many experts hidden in and around the void. In one corner of the void, more than 20 people floated in the air, and the lead one was Jian Wushuang's good friend Wang Yuan, the young master of the alchemy school. Half a year ago, he was in the initial gold core realm, but now he was the same as others floating in the air. His cultivation had reached the profound Yin Void realm. In half a year, he jumped from initial gold core realm to profound Yin Void realm. Clearly, his strength improved more greatly than Jian Wushuang's. The gathering is going to start. I suppose third brother must be somewhere nearby. Wang Yuan looked around. Many purple-robed figures floated behind him. Among them, there were more than 10 experts in the Yang Void realm, including some who had reached the peak of Yang Void realm and had comprehended the origin, like Dan Yi. Besides, among the purple-robed people, there was one different from them, who wore a grey robe. The grey-robed elder was just like an ordinary man without any breath of cultivation power, floating in the void similar to the others. Sixth elder, it all depends on you. Though Wang Yuan was the young master of the elixir school, he was humble in front of the grey-robed elder without having an air of importance. Because of my sensitive identity, all I could do is help him to escape. I will not save his father, the grey-robed elder said. Wang Yuan's face was solemn. Thank you, and please wait here. I hope things go smoothly, but if anything happens, please can sixth elder take third brother away whether he can save his father or not. At least keep him alive. I know. The grey-robed elder nodded slightly. At another corner of the void, there are more than 10 people coming from the Ice Nether Valley, and Su Ru was the leader. After half a year, Su Ru had improved a lot in strength and reached Yin Void. Additionally, those 12 people beside her were all of high cultivations, among which 8 were experts of Yin Void and 4 of Yang Void realm. Bloodfeather Tower. Su Ru looked at the Heartless Island in the front with cold eyes. It's troublesome that there is one super expert of Bloodfeather Tower who has reached divine transcendence. It was still snowing. There was heavy snow on the ground and the weather was cold. However, all of the experts' hearts were warm. As it approached noon, 2 figures suddenly showed up on the high platform at the front of the drill ground. Many people on the drill ground looked over at them. Both of them were elders. One had white hair, a beard, and strong breath, whereas another one had black hair and dashing eyebrows. As soon as they showed up, their strong breath spread out. Both of them had reached the peak of the Yang Void realm. They are left and right messengers of the Bloodfeather Tower. These two elders are over 100 years old. Tut, both of them are on the Heavenly Dragon list, one is ranked 14th and another 11th. Truly it is Bloodfeather Tower. Many experts on the drill ground were discussing, and some of them looked at the left and right messengers with astonished eyes. Peak of the young Void Realm. It should be known that experts at this level were rare in the whole Tianzong dynasty. Each of the 7 top clans only had one. Both the left and right messengers were ranked on the Heavenly Dragon list. They were top-level experts in the Tianzong dynasty. Not long after the left and right messengers showed up, a bloody figure fell slowly in the void. He wore a bloody robe and a bloody wicked mask. His appearance attracted everybody's eyes, and as soon as he came to the high platform and sat down on the chair, the whole of the drill ground was silent. Silence. All eyes were concentrated on the bloody-robed figure. Is he the Tower Master of the Bloodfeather Tower? What happened? The Tower Master of the Bloodfeather Tower looks like an ordinary man. However, why can my eyes not help but look at an ordinary person? Why? Divine Transcendence. Sure enough, the Tower Master of the Bloodfeather Tower has reached it. Many of the experts were secretly marveling at it. They were a little doubtful about it when they received the invitation, but now they knew that the Tower Master of Bloodfeather Tower had really reached Divine Transcendence when they saw him. Only one who reached Divine Transcendence could control his breath so perfectly without losing any. Only such a man could attract everybody's eyes as soon as he showed up. The bloody and wicked Tower Master of Bloodfeather Tower, Qi Luosheng, sat on the chair in the center and waved his hand slightly. A breeze blew, which brushed people's faces and made them feel at ease. Such powerful strength. Those knowledgeable experts of Yin-Yang Void Realm felt secretly astonished. Gentlemen. An evil voice, which one couldn't distinguish between a male or a female, spoke out from Qi Luosheng as his eyes swept over them. Welcome to the gathering. I have prepared some wines for you, have a try. After he finished, a few maids in black walked out with flagons in their hands. Gentlemen, please. Qi Luosheng put a flagon in his hands. Then everybody on the drill ground drank the wine. After a cup of wine, respectable Tower Master of the Bloodfeather Tower. A strong man sitting in the front stood up and looked steadily at Qi Luosheng with a smile. I will not say social formulae this time. I come here because I want to know whether you have reached it. The truth is, you did it, and I want to know how you accomplished it. After all, I have been trapped in this stage for years. The strong man said with a fever of enthusiasm in his eyes. Owner Lei of Gladiator Arena? Qi Luosheng looked at him and smiled. No problem. It's also part of my plan for inviting you to come here. Even if you didn't ask, I would still tell you. But before that, I need to deal with one thing first. Qi Luosheng smiled coldly, and the elder with dashing eyebrows standing beside him glanced at his back. Bring him up. You're tuning in to the Celestial War YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories,